You sense it, don't you? That quiet tremor beneath the surface, a low hum of unease that the world often drowns out. You felt it in the hushed moments, perhaps after a service, or in the quiet of your own home, a deep question forming. It's the feeling that something essential has shifted, that a vital connection has frayed, and maybe, just maybe, no one seems to notice the fracture. You're not alone in that feeling. There's a subtle ache, a longing for something more authentic than what often appears before you. You might be searching for a way to bridge the gap between what you see and what you know to be true in your spirit. You might be weary of the noise, the endless activity that seems to mask a deeper void. We're going to step away from the surface today to look at something profound that has been whispered through generations, yet often forgotten in our time. We will uncover a truth that can reorganize your entire perspective, showing you a path not of outward show, but of inner fire. A path to rekindle the sacred fire. Before we go deeper, if you feel this stirring, this call for something real, something that cuts through the superficial, make a conscious choice right now. A choice to be truly present. To do that, I invite you to simply type "truth over comfort" in the comments below. It's not just a comment, it's a silent vow, a gesture of your presence, a declaration that you're here to truly listen, to truly engage. This isn't about easy answers or magical promises. This is about clarity. This is about truth. Stay with me until the very end, and you will find it. Consider the echoes of ancient prophets, the spiritual ancestors whose voices cut through the complacency of their own eras. They didn't speak from grand stages or elaborate programs. They spoke from a place of raw, unvarnished truth, often from the wilderness, from the very core of a broken altar. They understood that the true altar isn't a structure of stone or wood. It's the inner space where you meet the divine, where your spirit connects, where sacrifice and surrender truly happen. What happens when that inner altar, that sacred space within each of us, begins to crack? What happens when the collective altar of a community, of a church, falls into a deep sleep? You see the signs. You see the busyness, the relentless pursuit of relevance, the endless programs designed to attract. You might attend services, participate in groups, give your time and resources, and yet still feel an emptiness. You might observe the polished presentations, the captivating speakers, the vibrant music, but sense a hollowness where profound depth should reside. You might watch as the outward form flourishes, while the inner substance diminishes. This isn't about judgment, it's about honest observation. Is it possible that we've become so focused on the scaffolding that we've forgotten the foundation? Is it possible that the very act of seeking external validation has led us further from internal transformation? Could it be that our attempts to make faith more appealing have inadvertently made it less potent? You might wonder if this unease you feel is just you, or if it's a shared silent lament. You might ask yourself if there's a way back to that raw, authentic connection. You might long for a faith that burns, not just flickers. There's a countercultural insight waiting, a profound understanding that often gets lost in the clamor of our modern world. It's about recognizing where true power lies, and it's likely not where you've been taught to look. We're talking about rekindling the sacred fire. If this message resonates, if you recognize the truth in these words, then stamp your agreement. Press that like button. It's not just a click, it's an act of responsibility. It helps this message reach others who are feeling that same silent ache, who are longing for that same clarity. It's a way of saying, this matters, this needs to be heard. You might feel the weight of expectation, the pressure to perform, to present a certain image. You might have been taught that outward activity equals spiritual vitality. But what if that's precisely the illusion? What if the very thing we're striving for is keeping us from the truth? What if the greatest act of faith isn't what you do, but what you allow? Think about the sheer volume of noise in our lives. The constant stream of information, the endless demands on our attention, the pressure to always be on. How much of that noise filters into our spiritual lives, replacing the quiet space where true communion happens? How much of it drowns out the voice you truly need to hear? You stand at a crossroads, sensing a deeper current beneath the surface. You stand at a crossroads, sensing a deeper current beneath the surface. You feel the pull, don't you? A quiet resistance to the relentless current of what's expected, what's popular, what often passes for spiritual vitality. It's a feeling that the church, in its earnest desire to connect, to grow, to be relevant, has sometimes drifted into a deep sleep, a slumber so subtle that few notice the profound shift. This isn't about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about honest observation, a shared recognition that the true altar, that sacred space within each of us where we meet the divine, often lies neglected, even cracked, while the outer show continues. We've become remarkably good at the external, at the visible, at the measurable. We've built magnificent structures, designed impressive programs, perfected the art of engagement. But what if, in all this meticulous construction, we've inadvertently built a wall between ourselves and the very essence we seek? The principle is simple yet profound. True spiritual power doesn't come primarily from what we do for God, but from who we are with God. It's a shift from performance to presence, from outward show to inward transformation. Consider the profound concerns of those spiritual ancestors who spoke with unwavering clarity against the comfort and complacency of their own eras. They saw a danger, a slow erosion of genuine faith, when the focus moved from the intimate, unseen encounter to the public, applause-driven spectacle. They warned against mistaking the bustling marketplace for the quiet sanctuary of the soul. They knew that when the altar cracked, it was often because no one was tending the fire within. You see the packed parking lots on Sunday mornings, the vibrant worship bands, the charismatic speakers. You hear the passionate sermons, the calls to action, the testimonies of growth and success. And yet, despite all this activity, you might still feel that gnawing sense of something missing. A profound silence where there should be a roar, a stillness where there should be fire. It's not about condemning these things, not at all. It's about asking a deeper question. Are they the source of the fire, or merely the smoke of what once burned brightly? You might pursue success in ministry, believing it equates to spiritual depth. You might measure your faith by your attendance, your giving, your service hours. You might seek validation in the applause of others, mistaking it for divine affirmation. You might fill your schedule with spiritual activities, hoping sheer volume will bring transformation. You might read all the right books, listen to all the right podcasts, consume all the right content. You might even preach the right messages, say the right prayers, and sing the right songs. But what if, in all this striving, you're merely polishing the exterior of an altar that's quietly cracking within? What if the true measure of your walk isn't in what you accumulate, but in what you surrender? What if the most profound spiritual act isn't a public declaration, but a private, desperate cry in the stillness? Are we so afraid of the quiet that we filled it with constant noise, even spiritual noise? Do we truly believe that God needs our performance more than He desires our presence? You're sensing that deeper current because you know intuitively that there's more to this journey than what meets the eye. Remember, there's a different way to see this, a deeper truth that cuts against the grain of what you've been told, what you've perhaps even taught yourself, an insight that will shift your perspective entirely, showing you where true power lies, and it's likely not where you've been taught to look. This is about more than just going through the motions. It's about the very heart of what it means to rekindle the sacred fire. You're not merely observing a decline. You're feeling a deep spiritual exhaustion, a weariness from the constant striving. You've been told to do more, to give more, to be more visible, more active. But what if the very antidote to this spiritual lethargy isn't more doing, but less? What if the answer to a sleeping church isn't louder alarms, but profound silence? You've chased the next big program, the latest trend, the most engaging speaker, hoping for a spark, for something to ignite that fading flame. But the fire you seek, the true sacred fire, doesn't always roar in the spotlight. Often, it whispers in the quiet. This isn't about abandoning community or service. It's about recentering, about realigning your compass. It's about understanding that the deep sleep isn't necessarily a lack of activity, but an abundance of activity that bypasses the true source of life. You see the vibrant youth groups, the mission trips, the community outreach initiatives, and they are good, essential even. But are they rooted in a deep internal wellspring, or are they often an attempt to fill a void that only quiet communion can satisfy? This is the subtle deception, the quiet crack in the altar, believing that external motion can compensate for internal stillness. Consider the wisdom of those who walked before us, men and women of profound faith who understood the power of retreat, of solitude, of waiting on the divine. They knew that true strength wasn't found in the clamor of the crowd, but in the intimate, often uncomfortable, encounter with the sacred in the secret place. They understood that the deepest work, the most transformative change, often happens when you step away from the demands of the visible world and simply be. They weren't less effective. They were profoundly more impactful because their outward action flowed from an unshakable inner core. You might be asking yourself, how do I find that core in a world that demands constant engagement? You might be wondering if it's even possible to cultivate such stillness amidst the noise of your daily life, the expectations of your community, the relentless pace of American culture. You might feel a resistance to slowing down, a fear of what you might confront in the quiet. What if that fear is precisely the barrier to the renewal you long for? What if the very thing you're avoiding holds the key to rekindling the sacred fire? This profound silence, this intentional space, is not an escape from reality. It is an engagement with a deeper reality. It's where you begin to discern the difference between the urgent and the essential. It's where the whispers of the divine can finally cut through the static of your life. You might find yourself uncomfortable at first, restless, perhaps even bored, but stay with it. This discomfort is often the sound of the dross being burned away, the superficial layers dissolving to reveal something truer, more resilient beneath. You have a choice to make, a subtle yet powerful decision. Will you continue to seek renewal in more noise, more programs, more outward show? Or will you dare to embrace the profound silence, the uncomfortable stillness that promises genuine presence? This is your moment to choose presence over performance. This is your moment to choose conviction over convenience. This is your moment to declare, not just with your lips, but with your life, I commit to the fire. Are you ready to let it burn away the pretense, the lukewarmness that has held you captive? This commitment isn't a one-time event. It's a daily surrender. You might have been taught that faith is about grand gestures, about public declarations, about making a visible impact. But what if the most profound impact begins in the invisible? What if the deepest longing for renewal is met not by more noise, but by profound silence? This is the countercultural insight, the truth that will shift your perspective entirely. It's about recognizing that true power resides not in what you do for God, but in who you are with God, in the quiet, unobserved moments where spirit connects with spirit. This is where the altar is rebuilt, not with hammers and nails, but with humility and presence. This is where you begin to truly rekindle the sacred fire. This is where you begin to truly rekindle the sacred fire. You might have spent years, decades even, seeking that rekindling in the visible, in the bustling, in the grand. You've been told to add more, to do more, to strive more. But what if your deepest longing for renewal is met not by more noise, but by profound silence? This is the counterintuitive truth, the insight that changes everything. It's a turning point that asks you to look not outward, but inward, not to accumulate, but to divest. The awakening of a sleeping church, the mending of a cracked altar, begins in the quiet, unobserved moments where your spirit connects with the divine, not with the echoes of the crowd. Imagine a bustling city street, horns blaring, conversations swirling, 1,000 different sounds competing for your attention. You might feel overwhelmed, disconnected from your own thoughts. Now, picture yourself slipping on a pair of noise-canceling headphones. Suddenly, the chaos recedes. You haven't escaped the city. You've simply created an intentional space of quiet within it. You can finally hear your own breathing, the subtle rhythm of your own heart. This isn't an escape from reality. It's an engagement with a deeper reality, one often drowned out by the incessant clamor. Or consider a vast, empty cathedral, its ancient stones absorbing all sound. No sermon is being preached, no choir sings, no congregation murmurs. Yet, in that profound stillness, you can almost feel the weight of centuries of prayer, of devotion, of human longing. The silence itself becomes a presence, a sacred space where the divine can speak without interruption. It's a powerful image of what happens when you create room, not for performance, but for simple presence. You might be at home right now, surrounded by the hum of appliances, the notifications of your phone, the endless stream of content. What happens if for just a few moments you consciously choose to turn it all off, to simply sit, to breathe? That initial discomfort, that restless urge to fill the void, is a sign. It's the sound of the superficial layers of your life, the dross, beginning to burn away, making room for something authentic, something resilient. When you choose to step away from the clamor, you begin to hear the whispers. When you choose to disconnect from the constant feed, you begin to truly see. When you choose to embrace the stillness, you begin to feel the current of something ancient. When you choose presence over performance, you begin to truly live. When you choose to tend the inner altar, you begin to rekindle the sacred fire. This isn't about mere introspection. It's an act of profound spiritual courage. It's a decision to prioritize the unseen over the seen, the eternal over the ephemeral. This is your moment to choose conviction over convenience, to choose authenticity over appearance. This is your moment to declare, not just with your lips, but with your life, I commit to the fire. If this resonates, if this shift in perspective stirs something deep within you, then act on it. Make this a public declaration of an intimate decision. Type, I commit to the fire in the comments below. It's a statement of your intention, a vow to pursue this deeper path, to tend that inner altar. And if one person came to mind as you heard these words, someone who you know is also wrestling with this same ache, this same longing for something real, then send this to them. Not for numbers, not for show, but out of genuine care and responsibility. It's an act of love, an invitation to a shared awakening. This journey is about more than personal introspection. It's an invitation to walk together. If you feel this call for a deeper, purer walk, then join us. Subscribe to Upper Room Call. It's not just clicking a button, it's stepping into a shared commitment, a collective yearning for authenticity. It's an agreement to continue this practice, to seek this clarity, week after week. It symbolizes your decision to align with a community united by the cry, "I will not let the fire die." Stay with me, and we'll talk about simple, practical steps you can take, starting tomorrow, to integrate this profound silence into your daily life and truly rekindle the sacred fire. You've heard the call to rekindle the sacred fire, and you've made a declaration to commit to it. But what does that look like, practically, in the relentless current of your everyday life? How do you integrate this profound silence, this commitment to presence over performance, into the very fabric of your days, starting tomorrow? This isn't about adding another item to your spiritual checklist. It's about stripping away, about creating space, about a deliberate reorientation of your heart. It's about tending the inner altar, not just observing its cracks. So let's talk about 3 simple yet profoundly challenging steps you can take. These aren't grand gestures. They are small acts of surrender, designed to shift your focus from the clamor to the quiet, from the external to the essential. They are steps that can begin to mend the cracked altar within you, one conscious choice at a time. First, begin with intentional quiet, even if it's just for 5 minutes. You might think 5 minutes is insignificant, but in a world that demands constant noise, 5 minutes of pure, unadulterated stillness is an eternity. Find a space where you can simply be. Turn off the phone, close the laptop. Resist the urge to fill the silence with music, with podcasts, with your own thoughts racing. Just sit, breathe, listen. This isn't about praying eloquent prayers or achieving spiritual enlightenment in a flash. It's about creating an opening, a channel, for the voice you truly need to hear. It's about seeking His voice above all others, allowing it to cut through the static that has accumulated. You might feel restless, impatient, even bored. That's okay. That's the dross beginning to burn. That's the sound of the world's grip loosening, if only for a few precious moments. This intentional quiet is the first ember you tend. Second, seek out one person to whom you owe an apology or an act of kindness. This isn't about public display or earning spiritual points. This is about purity of heart, about mending a relational crack that might be draining your inner fire. It might be a forgotten word, an unspoken resentment, a kindness withheld. It might be a small gesture that costs you nothing but your pride. Choose one person, not for show, but from a pure heart, and act. This act of humility, of genuine connection, is a powerful fire starter. It breaks down the walls you've built, not just between yourself and another, but within your own spirit. It's a tangible demonstration that your commitment to the fire is real, extending beyond your quiet moments into your human interactions. You're choosing vulnerability, choosing connection, choosing to live out the very essence of the sacred. Third, consciously choose to detach from one distraction that pulls you away from His presence, even if just for a day. Think about what consumes your attention most. Is it social media, endless news cycles, a particular form of entertainment? You know what it is. It's that one thing you instinctively reach for when there's a moment of quiet. For 24 hours, let it go. Don't replace it with another distraction. Embrace the void it leaves. This isn't a permanent vow of abstinence, but a temporary, deliberate act of detachment. It's about proving to yourself that you can create space, that you can resist the pull of constant engagement. What will fill that newly created space? Perhaps the quiet you've been longing for. Perhaps the voice you've been seeking. This detachment is a crucial step in clearing the debris from your inner altar, making room for the flame to truly grow. It's about recognizing that true freedom isn't found in endless choices, but in deliberate surrender. These 3 steps, intentional quiet, an act of genuine kindness or apology, and detaching from a key distraction are not burdens. They are invitations. Invitations to truly live, to truly connect, to truly rekindle the sacred fire within you. They are the first whispers of awakening for a church that has fallen into a deep sleep, the first acts of repair for an altar that is cracked. They are your commitment. These 3 steps, intentional quiet, an act of genuine kindness or apology, and detaching from a key distraction, are not burdens. They are invitations. Invitations to truly live, to truly connect, to truly rekindle the sacred fire within you. They are the first whispers of awakening for a church that has fallen into a deep sleep, the first acts of repair for an altar that is cracked. They are your commitment. You've sensed the tremor, felt the quiet ache, and you've chosen to look beyond the surface. You've journeyed through the landscape of a sleeping church and a cracked altar, not with judgment, but with a deep yearning for truth. You've embraced the counterintuitive insight that renewal isn't found in more noise, but in profound silence, in a radical commitment to presence over performance. This isn't a journey you walk alone, nor is it a solitary act of introspection that ends when the screen goes dark. This is an invitation to a deeper walk, a collective yearning for a purer faith, a shared commitment to a truth that burns. Imagine not a desolate ruin, but a single, unwavering flame. It burns brightly in the darkness, not with a furious roar, but with a steady, intense heat. This flame isn't fueled by external applause or outward show. It's sustained by intentional quiet, by acts of genuine humility, by deliberate detachment from distraction. This is the sacred fire, burning within each heart that chooses presence. This is the fire that begins to mend the cracked altar, one flicker at a time, until a sleeping church begins to stir, not with sudden, jarring alarms, but with the gentle, persistent warmth of authentic life. This is the vision of the upper room call, imperfect yet determined, believing that awakening begins with you, with your choice to truly rekindle the sacred fire. If this journey has resonated, if you feel the weight of this truth and the pull of this invitation, then make a conscious choice right now, a choice to continue tending that flame, to remain present, to persist in this path. To seal that decision, type "I will tend" in the comments below. It's a quiet vow, a declaration of your ongoing commitment, a signal that you are choosing continuity in this profound work. And if this message has cut through the noise for you, if it has offered clarity and a path forward, then stamp your agreement. Hit that like button now. It's more than just a click. It's an act of responsibility, helping this vital message reach others who are also yearning for this truth, for this awakening, who are searching for a way to truly rekindle the sacred fire. This journey of profound presence, of tending the inner flame, is not meant to be walked alone. It's an invitation to walk together. If you're ready to continue this path, to deepen this practice, to align with a community committed to authenticity, then subscribe to Upper Room Call and activate notifications. It's more than just clicking a button. It's an agreement to walk with us, week after week, as we seek to truly rekindle the sacred fire together. It symbolizes your commitment to a collective yearning, a shared understanding that we will not let the fire die. Finally, if, as you've listened, 1, 2, or even 3 specific people came to your mind, individuals who need to hear this message, who are wrestling with the same quiet ache, who are longing for something real, then send this video to them. Not as a task, but as an act of genuine care, a whispered invitation to draw near, to repent, to truly live. Do it today. May your flame burn true.